So twice a week on a Monday, twice a month on a Monday, excuse me. I like to invite authors into my home. We talk about reading, writing, and life as an author. And tonight I have the wonderful D.A. Murray with me. How are you this evening, my dear?
I'm doing great, Tina. Happy to be here.
I am so happy to talk to you. And we're going to be talking about, I love emphasizing this, your debut novel. So I
Yes.
want to congratulate you on the debut. You actually said to yourself, you're going to write a book. You sat down, you wrote that book, you finished that book, and now it's being published. It is published. So congratulations on achieving all of it.
Thank
Because
you so much.
there's so many of us that would love to write a book, but to actually follow through and do it is an achievement in itself. It really, really is.
Yes,
So congratulations on that. And the title is Dominion Ascension.
correct.
We're going to be talking about that. But before we get into the actual book, can you just give us a little background to yourself? Anything you feel comfortable with sharing with the rest of the world?
Sure, happy to do that. Well, I am, God, I've probably been writing my entire life. In my childhood, I wrote short stories, poetry. I always loved creative writing. And unfortunately, I really didn't follow that path, though, professionally till quite later in my career. I went into finance and then marketing. But I knew regardless of whatever I was doing, I was always looking for a way to bring that creative sense of myself into my work. So it's really been just an absolute joy to be able to get to a point in my career where I've been able to look back and decide this was the time. I had something to say. I really wanted to write something. I wanted to write fiction. I wanted it to be exciting. I wanted it to be relevant. And I also wanted it to be female forward.
And it certainly is. It certainly is. I've not read the book. I plan on reading it because the subject matter caught my attention. It's
Mhm.
very bold. It's
Yeah.
very bold. I would say. Do you have a copy of the book next to you by chance? I should have asked you
Yes,
this.
I do.
Oh, let's
Yes,
see
I
the
do.
book. Here's a beautiful cover, and it's called again Dominion Ascension, her debut
Mhm.
novel. I love this cover. So, without giving too much away, can you just give us a little background to what the book is about?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, Dominion Ascension is what's considered dystopian fiction or speculative fiction. It is about just 30 years into the future of the United States. I wanted it to be near future as opposed to something that's far into the future because I really wanted people to be able to see the connection or the through points with some of the themes in the book. And what has happened is a great war has taken place. And as a result of this great war, men, by the most part, not all, but most men have been rendered infertile and cognitively impaired.
Wow.
For these very reasons, women have had to step up and rule across the board in government, finance, just across the entire societal backbone. And as a result of that, one of the things that has had to happen is that men have had to be kind of reassessed, if you will, and put into very specific roles within society. And so, with that being said, it really does set a background for a society that's still fairly new. It's
Yeah.
fairly new. Women have power, men do not. As I'm sure you can imagine, getting power is one thing, but retaining it is something completely different. And nonetheless, we also have men who want to regain their status in society. So while all this is going on, the primary character, or the protagonist of the story, her name is Danny Matthews. She is somebody who has some remembrance of what life was like before the Great War. But for the most part, she really has lived in this very structured society, and she goes through I would say, a metamorphosis of sorts where she really does set out to find the truth about Dominion. As an investigative reporter, she has a very keen eye and sense of curiosity. Her mother happens to be someone who is in authority within Dominion. So there's a number of different pressures that are really pushing Danny to find the truth, personal and professional. And so it's all about her journey. And what makes it particularly interesting is she goes on a rather long journey across the country with a childhood friend who she met at a ceremony called the Ascension. And between the two of them, they are able to uncover various truths about Dominion. And ultimately, they have to make very difficult decisions when it comes to how they're going to handle that information moving forward.
Sounds very intriguing. One thing I like about writing, we can create whatever world we want. And you
Absolutely.
certainly did that with this one. You certainly did a unique kind of world, I would say. Before I continue, I have tons of questions about this book. I just want to say hello to our readers, and I saw a couple of questions that I do want to pop up as I'm going down the list. Hold on, let me see. Okay, we have Janet is here. She says hello. Again, I'm talking to D.A. Murray. You just heard her describe her debut novel, A Dominion Ascension. So if you have any questions for her, go ahead and pop them into the comments, and I'll get to as many as I can. We have Karen here. She says hello. And then Lori says hello. I'm just going down the list. I don't like to leave our readers out.
I
And then we
understand.
have, Krista. She says hello. And Lori
Hi.
also says congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
Dana says hello. And then we
Hi,
have
Dana.
Linda. She says hello. Who else?
Great.
Barbara from Kentucky.
Hey,
And
Barbara.
Carol from, she says hello. And also Belinda, another congratulations. I'm going to pop up the questions as I see them, because if I
Okay.
bypass, I'll never go back and find them again. So I got one here from Lori. She wants to know, how long have you been contemplating, I'm going to say this book because it's your debut novel.
Yeah.
So how
Yeah.
long have you been contemplating writing this book?
Probably about 6 years.
6 years. And when
Mhm.
was it published?
It was published last year, August of 2025.
Okay, before we continue on down the list of readers, a couple of questions from this question. Number one, what inspired you to write this book with this subject matter?
Yeah, great question. Uh, you know, this book really did start off as more of a nonfiction novel of sorts. I was writing about just various experiences that I've had as a woman in corporate America. And then also from a personal standpoint, just various relationships that I've had with family and friends, etc. And I found that while there was just great learnings or lessons there, I just found that I found it I didn't have as much fun writing it. It felt heavy.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it felt heavy. It felt
Interesting.
heavy.
Interesting.
And so I started thinking about how could I tell this story in a way that is still very relevant, can definitely share my point of view, but at the same time, I wanted it to be lighter. I wanted it to be more exciting, in parts. And so that's where I started to think about, why don't I turn this into fiction? But the through lines are still there.
Right.
The issues around feminism and what does it mean to be a, someone who has very strong convictions politically.
Okay.
What does it mean to be a citizen, a good citizen of sorts? What does it mean to put the needs of the many ahead of the needs of the few? Like, just very meaty topics, but within the context of this very dynamic story. And so that's really where it came from, is I wanted to entertain the readers and actually myself too. I wanted to have more fun with it. So
So you say it's fiction. You say it's
yes.
fiction. It's lighter than it first began. Would you consider this book based on your thoughts or your beliefs of what happened to you in the past, or what, or or what's going to happen to you in the future. Not, I'm not talking about the men over, you overtaking the men, whatever. But I'm talking about just like your thoughts, your beliefs. Is that kind of how the story revolves around as you as a person?
I mean, I took some very personal experiences and beliefs and just kind of expanded it into something that I could make more make it more about put some mystery around it, make it
Right.
more of a societal issue in some cases. Like, for example, um, one of the things that I focus on in the book is the relationship between Danny Matthews, the protagonist, and her mother. It's a very complicated relationship.
Oh, okay.
And yes, very complicated. That does reflect the relationship that I have with my mom. It was very complicated. And so I wanted to talk about what that mother-daughter relationship looked like over years, how it evolved. And I thought that that was such an important, kind of thing through the book. And it's not often that you find with a lot of speculative fiction that there's such a heavy lean onto the characters and kind of their emotional evolution.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more of the world building, if you will, in some cases. But I wanted it to be almost kind of this equal. I wanted the character and the personality and the character and the evolution of these characters to be just as important as everything that was going around in this completely different world.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Would you say that many of the characters in the book are based on people you know in real life, like the mother of Danny?
Mhm.
No? Okay. Just checking. Just checking.
Yeah, no, I think many of the other characters are, just interesting,
They just landed right there in the book.
yeah,
They just landed. All right. I love that. Okay, cool.
yeah.
All right. I'm going to keep on going down the list here. Belinda says she loves your cover, which we're going to talk about in just a minute.
Oh, thank you,
And
Belinda.
also, Barbara says, I love that cover. Um,
Oh, wow.
Lori says, I love that genre. I started reading it during COVID. Now, what do we say this dystopia is what you call this genre?
Dystopian fiction. Hmm.
Okay. Would you say this is young adult onward?
No,
No.
no,
Okay.
I wouldn't say young adult. I would say that this really does lean in what we would call new adult.
Okay.
So the characters really do kind of loom around the age of 30 on up.
Okay. So when you say new adult, what I lose track of all these genres and age groups. When you say new adult, what would you consider an age for
New
people?
adult?
Yeah.
I would say anything that's kind of above 18.
18 over.
As
Is there
opposed,
any
yeah,
is there any
yeah,
like
as opposed to young adult, which is 12, 13,
okay.
16, in there. Yeah.
Is there any like steam or anything in the book?
Is there any steam?
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Okay. There we go. We got the honest answer on that one.
Very tastefully executed, I might say.
Okay, there we go. I gotta ask, so there's no
Yeah,
surprises.
no,
Just in
you
case.
can't have steam in an adult,
That's
an adult
right. That's
story.
why we got the new adult genre, not the young. Now I understand. Um, is this a standalone or is it going to
No,
turn
it's a
into
part
it?
of a series.
Oh, it is. Now,
Absolutely.
did you know that before you started writing this book?
Absolutely.
You did?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All
Yes.
right. So when you say there's going to be a book two, number one, have you started about working on it?
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah, I wrote the detailed outline in 2024. So I actually know how the entire series is going to
Oh, you
end.
are on top of
But
it. You are me. Me, I'll just start writing, then I'll just keep going until okay, the characters have stopped talking to me. I'm done. I have no idea where the book's going or anything. So I'm glad that you're more organized than me. Um, are the characters going to continue on throughout the series?
some do.
Some do.
Some do.
What
Hmm.
about is it Danny is the protagonist in book one?
Danny, the protagonist, absolutely. She'll be in
She'll
book two.
continue on. So because some of the characters are going to continue from the series, are readers able to read each book as they come out, of course, as a standalone, or would you recommend them starting at book one and working through the series?
Yeah, that was actually something I had to think about in writing book two.
Okay.
And I wrote book two as if you could read it as a standalone.
Okay.
And it still is, it's a bit of a challenge to do it that way because book one is it's populated with a lot of experiences. And so how, which are the experiences that you really hone in on and bring into book two, and then try to change it in some way, shape, or form so you're not redundant in telling the same story you already told, but you're
Right.
still giving those very important details that someone who maybe didn't read book one
There's enough
can still follow.
backstory
And
to
the other thing you got to keep in mind, I'm not a full-time author. I have a full-time job. I write, at night and weekends. So I don't have the benefit of, releasing a book like maybe every 6 months or
I can't
what I
even do
mean.
that, so don't feel
I know.
bad.
I mean, like even somebody, yeah, exactly. And so you also have to make allowances for someone who may have read the
Yeah.
book and maybe doesn't get to the second book till another year or so later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not everybody remembers every detail of every book they read. So I think you have to be cognizant of that to some degree. So I took that into account for sure.
It sounds like you thought it well. When you started writing this series that you have, the first book is out. Did you sit down and actually plot each book, or are you a protagonist? I'm a protagonist. I mean, I'm a protagonist, a panster, where I have no idea what I'm going to write. I just sit and wait for characters
Mhm.
to pop in my head. Do you plot every detail of your book, a beginning, a middle, an end? You know exactly where the direction of the book is going, or do you just kind of sit down, wing it, and see what happens?
Yeah, I'm an architect. I'm gonna
Oh,
tell you.
well, okay, that's
Right.
help.
And when I say architect from a writing perspective, not professionally, but from a writing perspective, I like to plot the entire thing out.
You're a
I want to
professional.
know, yeah, because I like pacing is really important to
Uh
me.
huh. Right.
And I can go through and I can find, I'll write a very detailed outline and I'm like, I'm going to drop a bomb here. I'm going to make
Okay.
this emotional pull here. Like I really have to visualize that. And that does not mean that does the writing, reflect the outline exactly where
I'm
no,
sure
it
it
does not.
changes here and
Things
there.
will change, but
Yeah.
fundamentally,
You know exactly the
yes,
direction of the book.
yes, the
Has
architecture is
the
there.
ending ever changed from you plotting
Hmm.
that book, and when you get to whatever the final chapters of the book, does it take another direction at all? As it all well, this is the first book, but
Yeah, yeah, this particular one did not.
it
It
did
did not. I was very proud of the ending of this book.
not. Okay.
Um, but yeah, it didn't. It kind of sat in the area that I thought it would be. Yeah.
Are there any, does it end with a cliffhanger, or is it a complete story? I gotta know.
It's I have a cliffhanger. Who doesn't love a cliffhanger? I mean, geez, you know.
Okay. And do you know how many books are going to be in this series? Are you that far ahead of the series that you actually know?
Well, I'm planning three, and then I have at least one that is going to be solely around one of the characters because there's just been so much interest in this one particular character.
Oh, good. Oh, now
Two,
is this
possibly even two. So, I mean,
oh, I love that. All right. It sounds intriguing. It sounds exciting. Let's go down the list. I saw a couple more questions here and still some hellos. We got a hello from Virgie. And she
pretty.
also says an awesome cover, which I have questions about too. Um, okay, we did ask this question. I'm going to pop it up. Lori, you got a lot of questions tonight, but I'm going to pop it up because you did ask it, but we answered it already. Did you base the book on people you know, or is it purely fiction? You just mentioned that mother-daughter relationship kind of reflects something in your own life. Okay, let me go on down. Okay, here's an interesting one from Belinda. She would like to know, how long did it take to write the book?
maybe 4 years.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't include once the book was with the publisher and all the time it took to edit the book.
That is the part I'm not
That's
going
a
to
whole
say, I'm not going to
process.
say detest, but it's like, oh God, now we've got to do edits.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
I know. I know.
Painful.
Yeah, I got a book coming out next month in a couple of weeks, as a matter of fact. And
Oh,
every time my
congratulations.
readers hear me about complaining about the edits, I got to read this book again. I got to read this book again. But, it's all part of the process of getting your book published. I get that. Talking about the writing process of this book, you said it took 4 years to write. Top of your head from this question, what part of the book was the hardest part to write?
Hmm. I have to say, getting started was hard. Um, because at this point, this is my very first book. All I have in my head is an outline, and there's a lot of things you got to figure out. What point of view do you want to write in? That's a big question you
Which
have to
one is
ask
it?
yourself.
Good question too.
This one is first person point of view.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the other thing I had to ask myself questions about how much of this was going to be character forward versus world building forward. That was another big question. I think the other thing was, what are those themes that I really want to make sure come out in the story, right? So those are the kinds of things that I really was consistently thinking about when I was writing the draft. And then after, and I'm going to tell you honestly, I probably have done at least 8 or 9 drafts of this
Oh my
book
God.
before.
How many pages is the book?
The book is something like 90,000 words, I think.
That's a big book.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
95,000, something like that.
You
Yeah.
did 8 drafts. Thank God for computers. You don't have paper everywhere.
Well, I mean, and 8 drafts, I mean, that's like an entire book. I mean,
Right.
8 drafts and going through things like, alpha readers, beta readers, editor, like it's just
Yeah.
endless.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, one of the things, because this book is speculative, and so there's all these characters and they have different backgrounds, and you have to make sure that the ages align with these certain things that happen in the world. And it gets to a point, honestly, when they tell you you have to put together kind of a character, profile for all of your key characters. You definitely do,
Yeah.
because as you're writing, you will forget things.
You
You will
will.
forget how old someone is. You will forget what
Yeah.
like what they
Yeah.
are, and
And especially if you're writing a series, by the time you're on book
yeah.
4, you can't
Uh,
remember some characteristics about, somebody in book 1. And what I do is a spreadsheet.
Oh
And
yeah, that's what I have.
I have a
Hmm.
spreadsheet of all my characters' names, and across to the top is even simple things like, Gus drives this car, or, Jill likes her coffee black. And, little things like that you have to put in. And who's so and so's mother? Who has which dog? Because this book I'm just releasing, I have 6 dogs. Whose dog? So
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
you
absolutely. Or just
definitely have to
different
keep track.
world occurrences. What year did it happen? Does it make sense that this would be happening in this time?
Yeah.
It just goes on and on. And it's really funny because I've had a number of readers who said, "Oh, thank you so much for putting a glossary at the end of the book." Because I've made up a number of different words to mean different futuristic
It's your
things.
world. You can put whatever you want in there.
Things. I have to be honest with you. I love that they appreciate it, but appreciated it too because I was often going back to the glossary, like, what, what?
What did I write? Oh my goodness.
It's so long, I can't even remember everything. So,
No,
yeah,
you're right. And you learn quickly. This is your debut novel, and you picked up quickly that, oh my, I mean, it took me 2 or 3 books. I think I better keep track of these characters, because I got
yeah.
tired of picking up book 1 and trying to find the part of the book of where I needed that information. So maybe I need to get a little more organized. So you're definitely an architect. You got it figured out right away. You did. You certainly did. Um, let me see. Okay, Dana has a question for you. She would like to know, do any of your family members read your books?
Yeah, everybody read it. And I'm going to
Okay.
tell you, I was feeling a little bit nervous about my parents reading it because, like I mentioned
Okay.
earlier, I got some spicy scenes in there. So, so
Did
it's
they
a
mention
little like,
anything? Did they say anything about the scenes?
they did not comment.
Oh, there you
They
go.
did not comment, which I'm very glad they did not. But it was, yeah, family members definitely read it. And what's really funny, about family members, the same thing I think with friends. I mean, when you write something, especially when this is your first novel, you just kind of automatically assume that, of course, your family, friends and family are going to tell you they love it, right? They're going to love it. They love it. They're going to say they love it. And so I think, for quite some time, I was all, like looking for validation that this was a good book. And even if someone, my family said, "Oh my God, this is really good," but your family, are you going to tell me you don't like it? And, and then honestly, when my sister told me she really liked the book, I knew I had something because my sister, trust me when I say, if she didn't like that book, she would have told me in a heartbeat.
Oh, well, there you
She's
go.
done it very nicely. Like, well, every book has a targeted audience, and perhaps I'm not one of them.
Is that what you said?
She didn't say that, but I'm just saying my sister's very diplomatic. I'm
Right.
sure if she didn't like the book, she would have found a very lovely, kind way to say, not for me. But
Baby.
no, I really appreciate,
But I like
my
the
family's
direction.
reading it.
Instead of beating around the bush, just be direct, like you said. That's the best
Yeah,
approach. It really is. But she sounds like she has class. She's,
she does. She does.
yeah. Is
But
she
in all honesty, even outside of friends and family, I think one of the things you recognize, as a writer or an artist of any kind, your art is not for everybody. There are going
that's
to be some
true.
people that love it, some people that hate it,
That's
and some people
exactly
are all
true.
in between. And so one of the things you do have to do is develop a hard skin
You really
and
do.
recognize that a lot of what you're doing, especially in the beginning of this whole process, is you're looking for your people.
Yeah.
Who are those people that appreciate, my writing style, my point of view, who appreciates that? Who wants to engage with that
You
further?
nailed it.
That's what you're looking for.
You nailed it. And searching for your readers is 100% correct. That's why there's so many genres out there. If there's just one genre,
Exactly.
there'd be a lot of unhappy readers. So, I don't read horror. There's certain genres I don't read, but there's plenty of readers that love Stephen King and all those guys. So we
Absolutely.
all have our own audience. We really do. Speaking of authors, Belinda's question right here. She would like to know, who are your favorite authors?
Oh, wow.
And what genre?
Well,
I'm going to throw in what genre too.
I love R.F. Kwan, love her to death. Calabasas, Yellowface, God, Babel. Oh my God, the Poppy Wars. I love her. So, and she writes fiction, which is fantastic. I'm also a fan of Octavia Butler. I think she's done some amazing speculative work. Um, I enjoy writers. I enjoy a lot of thrillers for sure. I
Okay.
have a lot of fun with that. I enjoy John Mars. I think he's a lot of fun. He's got some interesting, books and so forth. Things that are different, really
Look
different.
what you wrote.
Yeah. So I mean, it doesn't have to be speculative fiction. I like thrillers. I'm not a romance novel kind of person. And let me be clear when I say this. I'm not the typical romance, like, boy meets girl or girl meets
Right.
girl, boy meets boy, whatever. And we all run off into the sunset at the end of the book. That's not my thing.
That's
If
not you.
you're going to give me a relationship, I want to see like grit, like I want to put it in something that really gets me entrenched in wanting to see someone win but I don't want it to be fairy tale-ish, because
They
that
have
to
to
me
work
was,
for it. They got to work for it.
I want a twist. I want
There you
something,
go.
a little bit different for sure. I love Margaret Atwood. It's funny, I'll get comments like, "Oh, your book's like Handmaid's Tale in reverse." It's like, "Oh, listen, this is what I will say. Yes, yes, from the standpoint of, not that it's Handmaid's Tale in reverse, but yes, from the standpoint that the topic of fertility is definitely an issue in future society. But the fundamental backbone of this story is in technology,
Oh,
not in
okay.
religious, yeah, not in religious doctrine, in technology. And I feel that also some of the themes of the story are very different. So I can totally, I have utmost respect for dystopian writers. I do, but I do see this story having a very different kind of focus and twist to it. And I think the other thing is, one of the things I hear readers say quite often is, it's just so relevant today. It's
Oh,
not that hard to see something potentially looking like this, down the road. You know,
refresh my memory. What year does the book take place?
so the Great War essentially ends in 2030.
Oh, it's not far off at
And
all.
yeah, and then we've got about 20 years into the future, so we're talking about 2050
That's not
from,
long.
from there. Yeah. So it's very much here and now, and many of the themes they just resonate with readers today. And
Okay.
so, and I like that. I want it to be closer in, as opposed to so far out people go, you know,
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
25 years is, nowadays it just flies by. Um, but you're going to give us a little taste of this book
Oh
and
yes.
read
Oh
through
my
it.
God, let me add one more thing. I'm sorry,
Sure,
before we
sure,
go.
sure. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Anne Rice. Oh
Oh,
my
she's
God.
good. Yes, yes, yes.
Anne Rice. You
Hmm.
talk about somebody who can just create a world, a characters with such finesse. And her writing is just, it's beautiful. I love her. It's poetic. Anyway, it just popped into my
No,
head
I'm
how much
glad you
I
did. She's very
love
good.
her writing.
Are you ready to do a reading?
Yes, I
All
am.
right.
I am.
So I'm going to hand
Okay.
it over to you. I'll be quiet, and it's all yours.
Okay. So this is pretty early on in the book, and where we are, Danny, who is the protagonist, as I mentioned earlier, she has very little memory of what the world was like before Dominion. She was only a child. She was about 8 years old when the Great War happened. So very, very young. And so her mother, on the other hand, remembers very vividly what life was like before the Great War. And so there's a lot of push and pull, or tense moments between Danny and her mother because of their point of view. Her mother feels that, Dominion, as it is it's the right place to be at the right time. We're doing what we need to do. Danny looks at this and says, how can you support this type of a societal structure? Where we're putting men in subservient roles in some cases. So she sees her mother as part of a system that she just doesn't understand. And so this is one of this story is Linda, and she's giving you just a glimpse of what the world was like before Dominion. And she's it's almost as if she's kind of thinking to herself as she's addressing this recent argument that she just had with her daughter Danny. Okay. Danny was barely 5 years old when the world turned upside down. The ashes are no more. The scarlet hue of the sunset fades away in the distance as the limo travels along the main boulevard. Many cities after the Great War were dark, like charcoal, and stripped of their beauty and purpose. This road was populated by charred, limbless tree trunks stretching on both sides. Vaporous clouds of black ash enveloped the sky, and the metal wires that hung from the burnt traffic lights blew wildly in the wind. Dilapidated buildings and blackened digital screens littered the ground as far as the eye could see. In the light of dawn, the heat engulfed the city. Sometimes the fiery rays of the sun burned the skin until it was red and inflamed. It scorched the ground, forming deep cracks and fissures. Mothers ravaged by war were broken, and the innocence of their children was murdered in an instant. Nothing was left but cold indifference and defective hearts. Then stabilization efforts pit one group against another, and lawlessness prevailed. The death toll teetered just over 1 million. Millions more wandered the streets malnourished. I press the remote to crack the window open so I can breathe in the cool breeze that fills my nostrils with fresh pine and floral scent. This smell is the smell, a promise of a nation reborn. No more of the smoke or death that filled each day with despair. We resurrected a country where no aesthetic diversity within the city was possible. To do so, we alleviated diversity amongst non-government employees. So along the drive, there are rows of gray and white buildings, one identical to the other. The life of the city dwellers, which are made up of the working class, is no different than the life of another. Their language, societal norms, laws, residences, and places of business are the same. Private property is reserved for the Dominion cabinet members and their staff as a means of protection. The colonies ensure the propagation of our society and are the incubators of our technological advancement. As we drive by the School of Phoenix, I see a congregation of young women scholars walking into the outdoor pavilion, sitting on the steps in perfectly manicured lawn. They are students of science, philosophy, engineering, law, and many others. These women are the future. They will inherit our legacy of courage and compassion and continue to build a great nation. I am so proud of the beauty we've created from the ashes of the past.
Oh, that sounds good. And I like that it's in first person.
Yeah, like I said, that was a really hard decision to make because I so often would write in third person. I was very used to it. But I just wanted I wanted the reader to really connect and understand the protagonist. I wanted them to see the world through her eyes.
And that's exactly what you achieved. I can
Yeah, that's what I wanted
just
to
on
do.
that little
Yeah.
extra that you read, you feel that, you really do. And you're getting some wonderful comments up here. Let me pop some up real quick from you reading. I'm gonna go back. Okay, we got one from Barbara. She says, awesome reading. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Carol says, love the descriptions and details.
Thank you.
Laurel says, thank you for reading the snippet from your book. So descriptive. Let me some more. Let's see. Hold on. Krista says, wow. Thank you for the reading. Virgie says, sounds awesome. Dana says, sounds good. I'm just going to pop these up real quick. I love these. Karen, wow. Thank you for the awesome live read. Lori says, I enjoyed your reading. I would love to read your book. Here you go.
Oh, thank you, Lori.
Hey, Virgie says hello. And Elaine also commented on my cup. Thank you, Elaine, because Elaine bought this for me.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Thank you, Elaine.
I love it.
She says, thank you for the reading. So good. Sounds really good. Do you have any kind of release date for book 2 or a title of any kind?
I'm in negotiation right now with my publisher about that.
Ah, okay. So nothing given away yet. That's okay. Well,
not giving anything away yet.
Readers would like to know. Can I see the cover? Not just me, the readers. Let's see that beautiful cover one more time. And if you look closely, it is a butterfly, correct?
It is a butterfly.
Can you
Hmm.
give us a little background on how you came up with the cover or how you made the decision on the cover and what that represents?
Absolutely. So, I I was thinking about the flag of Dominion and the fact that this is now a female-led society, and the significance of the butterfly. And it's a significant from the standpoint of being, it means rebirth, rejuvenation. So and it's also, it has a feminine look and feel to it. But I also wanted, if you notice in the book, it's kind of like broken glass. So there's the butterfly breaking. And so, and again, to me, it really represents this society trying to break through to become something different than what it was. And so the colors and the concept of the butterfly, those were all kind of my ideas. But my publisher, Polar Publishing, who does an amazing job of bringing bringing my ideas to fruition, and bringing it here, they just did an amazing job. And I was very happy with it. He actually had two different covers, and it was almost neck and neck in terms of which one to go with, because people liked both of them. But this one won, and I'm glad.
It's very eye catching, and I've said it before. Yellow really pops for a book cover.
Yes.
The cover yellow doesn't matter. If whatever in a bookstore, whatever. If I see a yellow wording title, it just gets my attention. There's something about that color
Yeah.
yellow; it just pops on the book cover. But I also like the fact that your publisher involves you
Well,
in the cover,
absolutely.
because
Yeah.
a lot of publishers are like, "Here's your cover, like it or not, this is it," and sometimes it doesn't even represent anything in the book. So
Yeah.
I like your publisher actually involved you.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that as well, for sure.
And okay, my next question, without giving anything away, of course, with the book, do you have a favorite scene or a favorite part of the book that you really enjoyed writing, besides the steamy scenes? I'm going to add. I'm just kidding.
Oh, yes. Well, that's the wonderful thing. I love the fact that I have a few different of my favorites, but I think one of my favorites, it was one of my favorites to write and one of my favorites to read. And that is, there is a scene where Danny and some other folks, that she is at this place called Haven, which is a place they escaped to. They go through a test of sorts, and it is a labyrinth, and it is filled with incredibly treacherous, death-defying, experiences. And so I had a blast writing that. I
Oh,
mean,
it sounds like it.
I was sitting up in my bed, 2 o'clock in the morning. I was just like, oh, what's
And
the
you,
so I'm
you,
like, you're
yeah.
writing it.
And you know something? What you feel, the readers are going to feel. That's
Yeah, no,
I
definitely.
always tell myself that if I'm feeling emotional in the scene or if
Mm-hmm.
I'm laughing out loud, my readers should feel the same thing that I'm feeling. So that's cool. I
Yeah.
like that. A quick question from Elaine I want to pop up because I want to ask you about what I the other stuff I mentioned. Elaine wants to know, can your book be found on Amazon?
Yes, it is on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Walmart.com. You can, oh, and also bookshop.org.
Okay.
So you can definitely get it in any of those places for sure.
Now, obviously, it's going to be on ebook as well as paperback, but do you know if it's in Kindle Unlimited?
Great question. I'm not 100. I know there's ebook, but I'm not quite sure
So
of
if
the
it's in
designation.
KU, I guess they can just go to Amazon, and if it says
Yeah, if
Kindle,
you go to Amazon, you can definitely,
definitely is free.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, I do want to just go totally off topic here, not from your book. It's still about you, but we had talked a little bit about this before we went live. In your bio, there are two tags that I want to just bring up. One is writer in tech series, and the other one is read with me segments. These are two different things, correct? Can you? They caught my interest when reading your bio. Can you just tell us what those are about?
Absolutely. So before I even started writing this particular series, I had started a TikTok and an Instagram page under DA Murray Official. And I just started talking to people and asking them what was their favorite book. I was just really excited about it, and I love hearing people talk about what they loved reading. They would get so passionate about it, and so I just did like hundreds of videos
Oh,
of
wow.
these people talking about their favorite books. So that's where that piece of it comes from, and I still actively manage that. The other part of the tech series, Writers in Tech, I was really interested in connecting with other writers who were in the tech industry. And it was really about just kind of points of view around, kind of what is your perception around some of the things that you're seeing today? What's your perception about AI? What's your perception around the metaverse? And, just all these different topics that have been, around for quite some time. But it was really about like minds really kind of thinking out loud about where is technology taking us as from a humanity standpoint. So I actually hosted actually quite a number of um, live shows on TikTok, talking to other writers who had a technology background or folks who just had a tech background and had something to say about technology and how it's been, impacting their lives professionally, personally, etc.
Okay, interesting. So those two tags, they're still out there. People can look them up, and you still are active on those tags?
Yes,
Oh,
definitely. If you, like I said, Instagram, TikTok, and I also do post them on YouTube as well. So you can definitely find them.
you're
Yep.
all over the place. Is there a social media that you're more active on? Do you have a preference of where people find you?
I find that Instagram, I have a lot more maybe deep conversations about different some of the different topics.
Okay.
It's less about shock and awe and more about, kind of how the book is really, kind of affecting people, their thoughts. And so I do like engaging on Instagram from time to time. So with Facebook, same thing.
So if they wanted to follow you on Instagram or Facebook, what is your handle name?
Excuse me, DA Murray Official.
Okay, on
So
all
yeah,
platforms? On all
on all
platforms?
platforms.
Oh,
And
that's
my
easy.
authors, yeah, my author site is damurrayofficial.com. So if you go there, you also get to, obviously see all of the different social sites that I'm on. All of the interviews, like this amazing interview, will be on my social site as well. And I also have a book club kit, which is pretty cool. It's got the glossary in it, discussion questions. There's also, it's really cool. There's games in there as well as different beverages, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, and
Look at
food,
you.
because all this is in the book. Like these different things are mentioned in the book. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to kind of, be able to kind of parse together a Dominion experience for a book club.
I love it.
So
Now, how do they
yeah,
find this? How do they find this again?
on damurrayofficial.com. You can just go to book club and you can just download it. It's a
Oh, I love
PDF you can
that.
download.
I love
Hmm.
that. What a great idea. And I got to put this up when you're talking about your favorite scene. Lori
Hmm.
wrote, "You're just beaming talking about the scene." I love it. I just have to pop that up. That was from a few minutes ago.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
oh yeah, very yeah. Let's see. I wanted to scroll down because we're going to be wrapping up this soon. Elaine also says she loves the cover. I went
Wow,
somehow
thank
they
you.
popped back up to the beginning of my chat. Let me go. Hold on. Uh, okay, I'm going to put this up here. It's a random question. I'm looking at the time. I want to get as many as I can. Lori is asking, how do you feel about AI?
Okay, so the first thing I will say is that my perspective on AI represents my own personal perspective and not the one of the company that I work for. So that's, I need to put that up front. Um, in terms of how I feel about it, I think that AI has the potential to be incredibly helpful in making us more efficient, making us kind of evolve to a point where we can actually maybe focus on things that aren't so redundant in cases. So I'm excited about the tools of AI, but I do recognize that, tools have to be within reason. There have to be guardrails around it. We cannot use AI as a substitute for being able to think freely and question everything that comes in front of us. One of the themes of the book is the importance of understanding how power and control can actually evolve. It starts off with really small things that you might not even think about at first, and then the next thing you know, some right or something that you believed you had or you always would always have is taken away from you. And so I feel like AI is something that has to be monitored. It has to be respected for its capabilities, because I do think, again, it has the ability to make our lives easier, more efficient. But it also has, I think, it has to be managed within reason. So one of the questions of the book is, has humanity caught up with AI, or has AI caught up with humanity?
That's
Which
an
is it?
interesting question.
So AI is, it's something that I think the more we educate ourselves about it, how it's used, the more we question everything. Don't just assume just because something pops up on Chat GBT, you put a question there and everything that's in Chat GBT is true. No,
No.
question everything you read. Okay, because again, all of these capabilities are essentially they're built, by humans, right? Testing and
And
learning and
humans make
aggregating
mistakes.
information, right? And so, you know we can be wrong. We're human, we're not perfect. So now there's technology. So I think we have to put AI in its place and recognize that we have to own this and manage this tool, harness this tool, and not let it essentially,
Replace
put
us.
a bridle on us. Yeah,
Yeah, replace our creativity, but as a tool, it's
exactly.
brilliant. I mean, for shortcuts and stuff like that, it's brilliant. But replacing creativity, replacing things that we need to exercise our brain. We need to be creative
Absolutely.
as a human. And I just don't want to see that go away from society. I just don't.
Yeah.
And I'm not just
Yeah.
talking about books. I'm talking about the whole spectrum of, and I could, books, covers, painting, whatever. There's all forms of creativity, and I just don't want AI to replace it. We all need to be creative in one form or another. That's,
Yeah.
but what you said, I agree with you 100%. I do. That's very well said. Very well said. Before we wrap this up, why am I echoing? Anyways, um, what are you hoping readers walk away with after reading your book?
I think I want readers to really think about the role of power in society and what we can do as individuals to take responsibility for our own actions. I want readers to think about what it means to leave a legacy behind. What we do today is going to impact what happens
Yeah.
10, 15, 20 years down the road. What does that need to look like now? Right. So it's just, it's so easy to give someone else the responsibility that we should have ourselves. It's too easy, and we can't let it happen.
Oh, I love that.
So I just feel that that's something that conversation, I want people to have that conversation and really be thinking about it. And it's not so much about man versus, male versus female. It's really just about power and how we choose to really make it a part of our lives, and how we have to essentially take responsibility for that power.
I love that. Great. Great. I love it. Okay. My final question for you is, one piece of advice would you give to an aspiring author that wants to have their book published?
Hmm. Let's see. Well, recognize that everybody has something to say. recognize that you have to write just as much for yourself as you choose to write for others. So it can't just be about something I just want to write for other people. And, it's got to be something inside that is really bringing this to the forefront. At least I believe that in terms of when it comes to writing. Um, but I also think that learn the business of writing. It's great to write a novel. There's no question about it. It's amazing. But learn the business. And that to me is so important because, I mean, if you think about the sheer number, the millions of books, new
Yeah.
books that come out on the marketplace every year. And, it's one thing if you just want to make it a hobby and just release a book and put it out there and just see what happens. But if you want to make this something where you eventually, can make, live off of it full time or, make money in some way, shape, or form of it, you got to understand the business.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I tell writers all the time. Great that you want to write, but make sure you understand the business of writing. Make sure you understand the publishing industry. The wonderful thing about publishing now is there's so many forms of publishing out there. I had the opportunity. I could have done traditional publishing. I could have done hybrid publishing. Absolutely could not self-publish. I don't have the time to do it. I don't have the bandwidth. That's a full-time job, no question about it. And people who do it, I have tremendous respect for. I went hybrid, which is I went to a traditional publisher who had a hybrid business unit so I could own my own assets. Everything associated with Dominion belongs to me.
There you go.
Okay. And so the wonderful thing about it is that that was just something I wanted. And that was important to me. And because I have a vision for my book that it would be more than just one book. And I would love to see this book actually made into a film. So I have this is what I want, and that's what I see for myself. And I wanted the flexibility of ownership of my assets, ownership of my craft. And I also wanted to just have, higher royalties,
There you go. That makes a
you
difference.
know, and
That
I
makes
did a
a
lot of
difference.
my marketing up front. I was creating my social media channels years before my book came out.
Right.
So I had a pretty strong following. I had people who understood what
You're
I was talking
established.
about.
You're established.
Yeah, so I
You're
just felt
established.
like I had made such a significant investment up front. I didn't want to give that all away
Exactly.
to a publisher who could probably, tell me, well, sorry, your name of your book is going to be this. We're going to rewrite your book like that. No,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
that's not for me. But there are plenty of very successful and happy writers out there who are with traditional publishers, and I say it's to each its own in terms of what your end goal
Exactly.
is.
Me, I'm a self-published. I
Hmm.
tried publishing for but debut one for me. That wasn't for me. I went self-published, and it's my business, and I'm in 100% control. But like you said, each author has to make that decision. What works for me doesn't
Absolutely.
work for you. What works for you wouldn't work for me. So we all are individuals, and we have to do what works for us. And that is just wonderful advice. Really advice.
Absolutely.
But this, I could talk to you a lot longer. This has been a wonderful chat. Before we go, real quick, I do want to talk about the giveaway. Your PA has graciously agreed to give away a copy of your book. She didn't mention if it's going to be signed or not, so I don't know. I'm not sure if you know. Do you know if it'll be
I
signed?
I
You're not
am not
sure.
aware of that, but I'm
I'll
more
talk.
than happy to make sure that the book
Okay.
is signed. I
I'll
will
talk
make
to your
sure.
PA and we'll
Yeah.
get that sorted out. I'm doing my giveaway, which is a $5 Amazon gift card. There's a different way of doing this because Facebook no longer lets me see who shares my posts. Thank you, Facebook. So this is on an honesty program now. I know you'll be honest, and you will just message me when you have shared the post. You don't have to do screenshots or anything like that. I don't want it to be a difficult or a hassle, but share the post as many places as you can. and just message me saying you shared it and you're entered in the giveaway. TA, this has been a wonderful chat. Thank you so much. And before we go, you have any last words?
Yeah, I just want to say for all of you who choose to read Dominion Ascension as a debut novel and as a novelist, I should say, reviews are very important. So if you do read the book and you do enjoy it, I ask that you go on Goodreads or Amazon, wherever you bought the book, and just post a review. It does make a difference.
It certainly does. Thank you so much, TA. I've really enjoyed this. And thank you, readers, as always, for joining us and for the questions. I will see you in the group, and I'll announce the winner of DA's wonderful book in a few hours. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a good night.